Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Well, here we are. It's September, and that, of course, means that it's iPhone season, Steve. So we can't escape it. Before we get into the Glowtime event that Apple's announced, and we're going to try and get this episode up before that event, so that we can show that there's nothing to see here anyway. But there's an interesting sort of tie-in with the US election here, because apparently Apple moved the event once they scheduled the September 10 Harris-Trump presidential debate. So typically Apple always holds these events on a Tuesday, but the 10th is a Tuesday, so they moved it forward to the 9th. So it's sort of like, hey, we got iPhones to sell, we can't be trumped so to speak by the debate.
Well, that's it. Wow, there you go. What an exciting and unexpected turn of events, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll get into what's expected at the event, and I guess it really is kind of a case of nothing to see here. It's not that it's kind of dismissive actually to say they are going to be the best phones that Apple's ever made. I'm sure that statement's going to be made in the keynote, I'm sure, and they are they're great devices. We're not saying that. It's just that I think we've gotten to a point that it's just. They are introducing things into the devices. It's just that there's really no compelling reason to upgrade unless you've got a 5-year-old phone or something like that, or your battery's dying and you need a new phone. And maybe they know that, and that's why things are going this way. Now, there are a couple of interesting little features that I will touch on that were of interest to me, but obviously not interesting enough until probably until next year's phone, I'd say. But do you think like that along those lines, Steve? It's just like these
Definitely
events are not really what they used to be.
Well, it's interesting because Apple now hasn't really brought an innovation to the iPhone range in since the iPhone 12, probably that far back. And when I say innovation, like a form hardware change, significant upgrade that wasn't on any of the others. They haven't done that. And to be fair, neither have Samsung or say Google, but they've managed to, in those particular ranges, they've managed to bring in fold phones. They've managed to, advertise that they've got AI. These things really too are still just very incremental, but it's interesting. It gives them something additional to talk about. And I think when you have the same shaped phone that's essentially the same size and you're increasing the battery life by 5% and the, picture quality by 5% and, putting in a chip that's 5% better, that's wonderful, and it is definitely the best iPhone ever made, but it's not particularly exciting, and I think that's really where we're headed with this particular release.
The AI stuff just doesn't interest me at all, and to be honest, it's probably not baked enough to be terribly useful initially. It might be in a year or two's time, like in time for next year's phone or whatever. But the thing that, if I had to pick out anything that kind of grabbed me as, these things would be useful, is obviously the 48 megapixel upgrade for the ultra wide lens, and the apparently a new capture button that they're going to put on the side of all of the 16 series, which is essentially I don't know what the button's called on a camera, but it's that one where it gives you more ability to manually adjust camera settings and take shots and all that sort of thing. So it mimics more of a camera-like experience. But that's not enough to upgrade to a new phone. And I just thought, well, I mean, yeah, okay, they've realigned the cameras on the standard 16 because that'll give us spatial video for use on the Vision Pro headset. Okay, I'm not buying a Vision Pro headset, so I don't know if that really matters to me. But yeah, it just... I don't want to sound down on it. It's just another year with another new release of phones, and it's really gotten to a point of you just buy whenever you need to get a new one.
Well, that's right, and I think we were joking a while back about the iPhone 17 as being the next point to buy, but it's now looking for me like iPhone 19. So although we'll talk about what might come in the future shortly, but you're absolutely right. I mean, no question, these phones are good and getting better with every iteration, but Apple seems to, for a company that really invented the surprise killer feature, they've really not given us anything for about the last 3 or 4 years.
It might just be that it's what happens with incumbency, for lack of a better word. They've gotten the cash cow, and the iPhone is like a very steady stream of big income, and they don't want to mess with it too much.
Oh, look, I agree, but I just look at what Google's done with the Pixel, and you'd swear that the Pixel was an amazing brand new phone that's come from outer space with the way they rave on about it. You can get a folding version, and I have to say the AI in their photo editing is amazing. Apple could certainly do that, but they don't seem to want to even test the water. So maybe they'll bring something super big out with that in a later iteration.
Absolutely. I do want to. Apparently, there's going to be a new Apple Watch released and some AirPods. The only thing I wanted to say on that was that apparently the rumor mill was that the Apple Watch 10 or Apple Watch X was going to be similar in terms of the iPhone 10 in terms of a design overhaul, but apparently that's not happening. Lots of rumors about the fact that they're in a lawsuit with some company about blood oxygen monitoring or something, which is something that they wanted to include but can't just in America only, which I think we might have covered before, I think. And that's led to the pushing back of that particular redesign. So, I mean, I have been warming to the idea of a watch in recent times, but I'm not there yet, and I want them to step it up before I actually pick one.
Yeah, I'd recommend. There are other smartwatches out there. I'd suggest you think about that.
Absolutely. I guess I wanted to also turn to the iPhone 17 line, and because it's never too early to start speculating about what's coming in a year's time. But there was this report that potentially what the Apple will actually shake things up a bit, in the sense that they could be releasing a super slim iPhone next year, like an iPhone Air type idea, and they might actually rename the entire lineup so that it's more in line with how the iPads are named, and also the MacBooks are named. So you get like iPhone Air, iPhone Pro, and maybe an iPhone Ultra or something like that.
What about an iPhone Mini?
Absolutely, we missed that mini. For me, that would seem to make sense after a year like this that's coming up. I have been earmarking the 17 year as the year that I might get a new one, but it's not because my 14 Pro Max, which is now filming me right now in 4K cinematic, no problems at all, and probably will do so for the next 5 years. It's that there's going to be some upgrades that I do want, which is, again, it's all about the upgrades to the camera expected next year, which is 48 megapixels for all the cameras. I could probably use that capture button as well. And if they've got a form factor redesign potentially coming up, then that's obviously something that might be interesting as well.
Oh, well, actually, the one feature rumoured about the 17, which was the super slim and no ports, I actually thought, well, I could be tempted. I mean, I guess you wouldn't have access to fast charging because you'd only have the wireless charging. But that, to me, a slimmer, lighter phone, for me, would be interesting. I mean, I can't use wired earphones on my iPhone anyway, so what does it matter? What does it matter if I lose the last port on it as well? So I kind of like that idea, and that's exciting because that's a change of form. I mean, with the 16 effectively looks like the 15, and the 15 actually looks a lot like the 13, and the 13 is not that different to the 12. The only thing that's happened is they're getting slightly bigger, and this is something that I've found quite interesting. After 10 years of shrinking everything at Apple, they've gone to bigger. So even now, if you get a MacBook, for instance, the case is actually bigger. It's thicker than the original Silicon Mac range. So, it'd be nice to see things getting smaller, more compact, lighter, and friendlier.
Absolutely. Well, they did just release that spectacularly expensive iPad Pro earlier in the year that went super slim.
That's right.
And I picked one of those up and I said, well, it's not worth the price, but it is a nice device to hold in the hand kind of thing. So
and have a USB-C port.
Yeah, they've had USB-C for a while. And I think on the Pros, you get the full Thunderbolt 4 connectivity on it.
Yeah, okay. I just mean that as an interest, because I wonder if then they'd also release a range of iPads without ports to get super slim.
Absolutely. Why not? Like the Air model at the moment for the iPad is kind of sitting in a weird kind of spot. I think we've mentioned in previous episodes, to me, you're either getting the base iPad, maybe the iPad mini because it's small, or you're getting the iPad. Well, I don't even know if you need the iPad Pro, but you'd probably want to go that far if you're spending that much money. So the Air is sitting in an odd spot, so it seemed to me that might be a good case for something like that.
Yeah, but you see, I would find that interesting, in terms of a phone. I'm not sure I'd be willing to give up the port, but I'd certainly consider it. And because then it becomes a different phone. If it's completely sealed, if it's thinner, if it's lighter, then it becomes a different, sort of phone altogether, which for me would be fine because my usage isn't particularly heavy on battery. The problem is if you go super thin like that, then you're taking away battery capacity. And for some of the people these days, with the way they use their phones, it'd be like going back to the iPhone 12 where it was on charge the whole time.
Yeah, that's something that was in the back of my mind the instant they announced the slim version, because it was like, what's the knock on battery? I think I'd prefer to have the clunkier, thicker thing if it gave me, because my Pro Max is still giving me, at least 2 days, and which is pretty good for what these phones are these days, and it'd be hard to give that up.
Well, I was thinking if I got myself a 16, just a 16 Pro, for instance, I reckon the way I use it would last me 5 days.
Absolutely. So maybe it's not as much of a consideration.
Maybe not, but now you're starting to put value in the equation. I'm thinking, maybe I could upgrade.
I'm not speaking for Apple here. But anyway. Alrighty. Well, we might wrap it up there, Steve. Interesting times. I'm going to watch the video and see what... it's always fun to watch their Hollywood-produced, event videos. It's always fun, having Tim Cook coming out saying good morning, and doing all of his, or good afternoon or good night or whatever it is, whatever time they decide to do it. I'll actually be interested to actually look at what the prices of these are too, because I wouldn't be surprised if they go up again.
I think that's almost a given in the current circumstances.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's it for our cap on the upcoming Apple event. And that's it for this episode for this week. So we'll catch you next time.